Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. Be sure to follow us on IG, Facebook, Pinterest, and YouTube at Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia, where I bring voices, stories, and laughter to the mic to simply help normalize hard conversations with love, cheer you on as you give yourself permission to live and redefine self as you join and engage in our sister-friend tribe. We encourage our community to focus on areas of growth, becoming better versions of self each day, and exercising their faith over fear. Come on and join our sister friend tribe where we just have a good old time and laugh and share our authentic stories and have good conversation. Go ahead and grab your favorite drink and chime in. Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. I am your girl, Tamekia, and I'm excited here. I am excited to be here with my girl, Demetria Preacher, a woman that I love, a woman that moves in love, a woman that just wants to love everybody, okay? She shows up for everyone, always smiling, and always bringing positive energy wherever she goes. But here's the thing. Nobody knows what she's dealing with. So, without further ado, Demetria, tell us who you are and give us 2 to 5 minutes of your story.
Well, first of all, thank you, Tamekia. I love you too. And for those of you all that don't know, Tamekia and I have been knowing each other for a very long time. We went to high school together, so it's an amazing thing when you can still be friends and be in contact with people that you have known for over 20 years.
Yes.
So, who is Demetria? So, Demetria, like I was describing to Tamekia before, I feel like I am this big ball of just bright energy, right? Someone that, even though the circumstances that I have going through, may go through in life, I still try to find that positive energy out of that. Reason being is that, I always look at that somebody else could be going through something worse than me, right? But also that God has given me an opportunity to share my story and to continue to survive the things that I have gone through. So, is there some things that Demetria can change about herself? Absolutely. Like, I'm growing every day. I'm trying to figure out every day. Like I tell
Growth
people,
is dope.
hey. Like I try to tell people, like, this is my second life. Now that my kids are adults and I'm trying to get out of that survival of the fittest phase of being that early mother in the 90s, 2000s. Now I'm trying to figure out, like, who is Demetria now on her own, still a mother, but
this version.
Right.
I love that. I love that. Yes. Yes. And I think most of us, or all women, should move in that direction of figuring out who we are in this stage of life, because we have lived for, depending on your situation, for our kids, our families, just doing so many things for other people that we are not focused on ourselves.
No, absolutely.
So I love that you've moved into that direction and figuring out who you are. Today, you are here because there's many layers. There are a lot of layers here to unpack, right?
I don't want to say an onion, but
it's onion, right? It's a lot of onions, a lot of layers to the onion to peel off here. Yes. So you are here today to share one part of your health journey, right? But as we said before, there are a lot of layers, and today we are going to talk about lupus.
Yes.
In which you are dealing with right now as one of your health issues. So, in your words, can you tell us what lupus is?
So, before I've heard of people with lupus, new people with lupus, and some people that have died of lupus, right? Just from the complications. And knowing that it's an autoimmune disease, just like, asthma or someone with diabetes or, anything else that attacks your organs or your system, you're just trying to figure out, what are the symptoms and it takes the right doctors to really diagnose you, to really care, right? Or to understand. So you might, it takes years. People don't understand that it can take years to be diagnosed with lupus and to be diagnosed correctly. So just knowing that it's a systematic disease, that it mimics other, illnesses. You have a headache, normal things, migraines, get dizzy, oh, my skin itches, it's super dry, my mouth is dry, my eyes are dry. Oh, that's allergies, right? Things that you think that are just a normal thing that you might have in life, and it's all connected some way.
So when were you diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed early 2022. So let me tell you, when you remember I had brain surgery. So I had a Chiari Malformation back 2019 in July. I had the surgery back in 2019 July. Prior to that, I was having these horrible symptoms of like migraines, and then it started turning into where I couldn't see, pain in my chest, stiffness in my arm, things like that. And I really thought I was going to be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis because of some of the symptoms, right? A lot of these autoimmune diseases kind of mimic each other. So that's why testing is like really, valuable in diagnosis, right? So push come to shove, let me advocate. Let me do this real quick. Always advocate for yourself.
Yes.
If no one else is going to do it, you more than anybody else knows your body. Even if nobody you think cares, the doctors aren't listening, keep advocating, keep pushing, keep fighting, because in the end result, you're going to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to push. It took me like 2 years to finally get diagnosed with that Chiari Malformation after I had been, pneumonia, like asthma attacks, headaches after headaches, can't see. Now, mind you, in my job, I do outreach, so I have to drive all the time. I was having dizzy spells driving, like have to pull over. It just was crazy to me that I was going through all this stuff, and I'm telling doctors this, and they're like, well, let's give you this medication. Well, let's,
And so not doing a full in-depth screening based on what you're sharing with your doctor.
Or they just don't know what type of screening to do, right? Because there's always new things coming about. But even though your PCP is that's the first person you go to, you give them everything that you're going through, that's when you're describing different things, that's when they're supposed to refer you to specialists that, handle those different things. And if they don't, then you're kind of just still stuck in that roundabout.
Yeah.
Right? So when they finally did the MRI for that Chiari, at first the radiologist only found a tumor on my pituitary gland. Right? Okay, so now I'm like, okay, we don't really talk about pituitary gland, okay, that's your hormones, right? So I'm learning more about my body now. Okay, what does a pituitary gland do? Oh, that's why I can't see. Because that tumor is covering certain spots on my,
causing the dizzy spells.
Right, so it was causing the me not being able to see as good, right? Thank God it's benign. It's still there. Okay. So I have to go get it. I get it checked once a year with an endocrinologist. But if it wasn't for the neurologist that I had at the time actually going over the whole MRI, I would have never caught that hole in my cervical part of my spine. I have a hole in my cervical part of my spine, right? So my brain was sinking down into my spine 18 millimeters down. Your brain is only supposed to go 5. Right?
Oh, goodness.
Right. So that's where the pressure was coming from, the headaches, all of that. And then I had a cyst on my spine as well. So on top of my brain thing, I had the cyst on my spine, the fluid collecting up. So, when I was...
Which at this point, all of this is caught during the neurologist doing the MRI, like looking over
right. The MRI. So he's like, I need to refer you ASAP to a neurosurgeon. So... July 2nd, 2019. I just remember the day. I go in, I see my neurosurgeon, and he's like, yeah, we're doing surgery next week. Like, there's no waiting. We're doing it next Thursday. So, like, that's how severe it was. And I wish that surgery, I thought that surgery was horrible, right? That was my first ever, like, major surgery. Mm-hmm. The scar I have back here, I have a titanium mesh plate and screws in the back of my head. And people ask me, like, well, what is that? So from what I found out, a Chiari malformation is either you're born with it, or it's like a rare condition that you're either born with, or, you obtain as a child. But until the symptoms or, start to like go through your body, right? You don't know you have it. And, most times they don't do MRIs until something serious happens. Yeah. So bam, I'm 39 years old when this is happening. But it's the symptoms are occurring in my mid-30s for that. Okay. Right? So does that help the lupus kind of flare out now? Or did the lupus help that flare out? Or is it, a combination?
So at this time, do you know you have lupus?
I don't.
You don't know you have lupus?
I don't.
But you're still dealing with other symptoms.
Right. So mind you, in my early 20s, so let me tell you when symptoms started for me. So, I had my first child when I was 15. So things started kind of changing then after I had her. And, but just dryness. That's when my skin started. So I was like, dang, she just pulled all the moisture out of my body. Right? Just everything was so dry. Like my feet, the bottom of my feet were just so dry. My skin, you have to mix that Vaseline and cocoa butter and all that together.
Old school remedy.
Castor oil. But all of those things, but you don't really realize that's a start, right? So then my early 20s, I would say about 22, I had all my children by the time I was 21. So, I'm thinking maybe it's just a hormone thing I'm going through. So when I was pregnant with my son, 19, 20 years old, I broke out into all these hives. Like just hives everywhere. And it wasn't like they went away after I had them. Yeah. I continued to have them. Okay. After that, right? So that's where the skin situation starts to fall in. And then eczema. So not only hives, but eczema comes in. Now, I didn't have any of this as a child. And then, your vision is started. I had 20/20 vision, Vision started to change around 24, 25 years old. Then I started getting these dizzy spells. I remember just driving 35, going to Central State, going out to Wilberforce. And that's when those dizzy spells started. I'd be on 35 on the highway.
Having to pull over.
And maybe not even getting a pullover, just praying like, Lord, help it go away. Didn't know what it was. Oh, and luckily, one time I was with Tamekia. Mm-hmm. She was in the car with me. One time, I completely blacked out. And she was able to we pull over and we switch places. Come find I had asthma. Right? Mm-hmm. Asthma? 27? Right? Yeah. So it's just like my 20s were just like bam, 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 bam. Just like all these different things started happening to my body. Acid reflux. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And again, I'm thinking it's bad. Okay, I had kids at an early age. Maybe it's that. 22 years old, my knees started swelling. My joints, so bad. And everybody that knows me know I love my heels. Always have, always will. Right? But at 22 years old, all of a sudden your knees just start swelling. And all the doctors can tell you, it's just water. It's just water. And so they give you some pills, tell you to, put some ice pack on it, elevate your feet. Nobody's looking into it any further. Nobody's listening to the symptoms, And I've always been a doctor person. I don't care if I was on Medicaid or whatever, because my parents just raised us as such, right? Yeah. And so, I was just like.
So each time you're having these different symptoms happening to your body, you're sharing with your doctor exactly what's going on, and then. From what I gathered, that it was just kind of dismissed or overlooked, right. Or something, they will always just say, well, it's probably this, and then kind of give you medication, but not necessarily digging any deeper.
Right.
And I'm going to assume that you continue to share these same symptoms as
Absolutely.
you went to the doctor.
So, even as time went on and I moved up here, that's when things started to really get worse, right? So let's say mid-30s, that's when the migraines kicked in, and I mean kicked in. Asthma kicked in, I mean kicked in, to the point I was pneumonia. I was getting, bronchitis quarterly. It got to the point where I knew I was going to get it, so I would try to catch it before it turned into anything else. So now I'm to the point where I get the vaccinations for, pneumonia and all those different things. I'm my asthma is pretty controlled on medications, because again, now I have a team of doctors since my Chiari that care. And if they don't, I find one that does. Because I can sneeze the wrong way, and I'm on my chart. My chart has become my best friend, since I've gone over to Ohio State. What? I can directly email my doctor. And if what I'm going through involves multiple doctors, I just copy and paste it and send it. Okay, flink. So, and I tell people to start doing that, because it's like a written journal that you have been telling your doctors. That my chart is the best thing that they could have ever invented, because I can go back and say, hey, I told you that I was having these issues. I told you that I was having these headaches.
Yeah. So you were diagnosed in your 30s?
So for lupus, I was diagnosed at 42.
At 42, you were diagnosed.
Finally diagnosed.
You have been dealing with all of the symptoms. And can you just run down a couple of the symptoms again?
So the headaches, the skin issues, right? Thyroid. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. Thyroid is a part of lupus. So I was diagnosed with that first after my Chiari. So September of 2021. So I just started taking medications for that, right? And then and they call it Hashimoto's disease as well. So I don't know how to spell it, but Hashimoto's disease. And then also Sjogren's syndrome. So when I tell you about my eyes and my skin and my mouth, I would get these little lesions inside my cheeks and on my tongue. And I just thought it was like acid and stuff. Didn't know what it was from. But over the years, it just, when the doctors finally, I did the blood work, my sports medicine doctor sent me, she was like, something's not right. Let me send you to do blood work. And that's when some of the stuff came back. The ANA and all that came back, right? All these years, somebody could have just said, let me do this. And she referred me over to a rheumatologist,
Yeah. So all of these years you have been dealing with symptoms. And it sounds like the onset, when you really start recognizing things, is when you were 15, when you had your first child.
Yeah, when I had my first child.
But then even in your 20s, your 30s, you have all these
it just kept progressing, right?
And at 42 is when you met your doctor, your person is like, let's get some blood work, and that's when you were finally diagnosed, and all the pieces to the puzzle started making sense.
And the crazy part about it, my sister-friend, my best friend of all best friends, Erin, her mother has lupus. And her mother was like, Michi has lupus, right? And I was like, don't put that on me. You know what I'm saying? She was like, no. She was like, she didn't even, Erin would go back and tell her, everything I would go through, because Erin, she knows everything, right? Erin and I have been almost friends for 40 years, since 86. So even when I'm surgery, she's there. And she's like, her mom's like, no, she needs to go get checked. She was the reason why I asked to get checked for lupus.
Because she's the one that's
she was sick. Like, because she has it. She's like, she has too many symptoms. She's going through too many things. Like, Tamekia, there was times where I couldn't even get out of bed for days. And I didn't know why. And this was like in the last, after my birthday.
42, that's
I mean, but things I never happened before, where I literally, my body hurt so bad that the only thing I could do was roll out of bed to go to the bathroom and get back in bed. But didn't know why. Why am I hurting this way?
Yeah.
you know. And now I know. Like now, like it all makes sense, even all the way back to my 20s. Like it absolutely makes sense when they start to describe the different things, the different symptoms of lupus and Sjogren's syndrome and Hashimoto's disease and the asthma, like why I have asthma and why I have this, like all these onsets. Why do I have like joint issues and my arthritis is just deteriorating my body?
Yeah.
Like that's another thing. Like arthritis just deteriorates. It's eating me up from the inside. People are like, oh, you look good. Okay, because if I look what I look like, if I felt like on the inside, I would probably look like the Crypt.
And you know what amazes me is that, you know, when you just start sharing your story and first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And thank you, girl.
I want to say thank you for coming on. I'm probably about to be in tears.
Oh,
I keep tissues.
Okay, we both be up here.
I want to say thank you because unless somebody actually follow you or know you or know your story, they wouldn't know that you are even dealing with most of the stuff that you are dealing with health-wise. Because when I tell you, when you show, listen, you know, I know a lot of people, okay? I know a lot of people. But it is something about you that when I tell you when you because you show up for any and everybody, you are a ball of lights. And if nothing else, like you just want to love on people.
I do.
That's all you do. That's all you care about. I just want love.
That
you just want to love on people. You just want to love on people and just spread all the love. And it's like, and when you show up with a smile, just happy. And y'all see she fly, okay? She fly, okay? And so you show up and not knowing that you are hurting on the inside, right? And people wouldn't even know that.
Yeah, it's so crazy because...
And here's the other thing. I'll be honest with you. I don't even know if I ever heard you complain. I've never heard you complain.
I do, girl. I do.
I'm pretty sure you do, but I'm saying I've never heard it.
Yeah.
You know how you ask somebody like, how's your day? How's it going? I've never heard you say, well, girl, let me tell you what's going on with me. I hurt. I'm in pain. I'm this. I'm that. Like, you've never come across it in that way. I know your story. People know your story of you telling.
Right.
Not in the way of, girl, let me tell you, I'm hurting today, this is that, and the other is more of a message of when you telling your story, right?
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. And listen, y'all, she's coming back. Because when I tell y'all there are layers, okay? Layers. So you're coming back on the podcast.
She's trying to get me to write a book, y'all. She trying.
She gonna do it. Y'all know I believe in people pouring their gifts out, and she has a bunch of them. She gonna write this book. But here's the other thing of why, when you're dealing with all of your health issues, one thing that a lot of people may or may not know, and again, I tell y'all she's coming back. We're not gonna address this right now, but Demetria is adopted.
Yes, yeah.
So you going through all of this, you weren't even able to go to your parents because from your story and you don't have it's not a family. It's not a family thing, so you couldn't go to your parents and say, this is what I'm dealing with.
Right.
What can y'all tell me? Are you all dealing with this because you're adopted?
Exactly. And it was a closed adoption, so... when doctors always ask you, what's your family history? There's nothing I can give them because I tell them, I'm like, I'm adopted, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And so, like Tamekia said, there's been some updates to finding family, right? But again, it's a lot because there's people that are deceased that I can't ask questions of, to about. And you would just love to find out more, but because it's kind of so late in life, and again, people have been deceased for years, or just at the cusp of you could have found them, or I wish I would have looked earlier. But I always think God makes things happen at yes. So no, there is no way for me to know exactly like where lupus came from.
How do you address your health journey with your children? Because you have a part of you that's missing, but you have another part of you that's right in front of you, that's biologically, no doubt about it, yours. So with your health journey, what do you do to make sure your children have answers to whatever questions and or bring them along on the journey so they're educated as well?
Absolutely. So one thing about like with my kids, I tell them, like, I talk freely with them. My kids are like my best friends because, again, I had them so young, especially Demetria. Demetria will be 29 this year. We're only 15 years apart. So we grew up together. And so, you know, they understand the things that I'm going through because they're going through them with me, right? And so I make sure, I tell them, like, they're still on my insurance. Misha isn't, right, because she's too old to be. But you have the insurance to go to do your yearly checkups, right? Ask your doctors, you know, or write down the different questions that you have that are going on with you, even if you think it's the most minute thing, you know. Like I told Dominique, she said, Mom, my knees are hurting, right? I said, I was like your age when that started happening to me. So I said, I need you to voice these things and let them know, like, hey, my mom has this. Is there any way that I could be tested for these things as well?
Absolutely.
Right? Dominique has a horrible case of, Lord, I done forgot already, the skin, you know. It's like she's always had eczema really bad. And so there's things that I think that she is getting that kind of is like, okay.
So you're seeing some of the symptoms that you had early on in her.
Okay. She'll be 23 this year. Okay. So just think she's like going through some of the same situations. And so I told her, I was like, the next time you go, I'm like, you really need to ask, you know, to get tested for these certain things because your mom has them. Just trying to make sure that they understand, like, you see what I'm going through. Yeah. All I want you to do is make sure that you, if nothing else, go to your annuals and be able to tell them what's going on. So they know.
Because they have a point of reference.
They
do.
have
something that you did not
They
have.
do. And they have a lot of stuff that we didn't have. Like my chart is new, so and y'all are more technological than we are, but I'm on it, honey. I like I said, I can sneeze the wrong way, and I need y'all to figure it out.
I agree.
You know, so it's you just never know because so many things are so underlying until they're not.
Yeah. Well, I hope they do I hope they listen to you. Take advantage of going to the doctor, speaking up for themselves because. One is something that you didn't have, but two, they have a point of reference and it's a known, it's a known history. Right. It's a known family history at this point because it's something that you have dealt with years and then finally got diagnosed at 42. So I hope they listen to you and take heed. When I was looking up lupus, I need to probably do more research, and I don't know if you've done the research, but what I found is lupus is more common in people that look like us. Right.
And it's supposed to be more common in men, right? But, you know, we know women are just with the different foods, the hormones and all that. It's just like things are just happening to us. I feel like more on a consistent basis. Because remember, we just went go red for our heart, but then I just know 3 males that passed away from, you know, massive heart attacks and 50 and under, right? So it's just, again, I really don't think it matters what gender you are, what age you are. And I hate that they put stipulations on age on testing. You know, certain things, and unless you have a family history. Yeah. But I always felt like if you were adopted, they should just go ahead and let you at least once test for different things, whether it be, your mammogram. Why should I have to wait till I'm 40 to do that? I don't know if I have cancer in my family, right?
Listen, that might be something you need to take on as advocating for through insurances, because who better to speak than somebody who's already been through something, right?
Yeah.
Because to your point, I don't know my family history, so I wouldn't know.
Right.
And then you're right, like there's age requirements, but if I do have family history that I don't know about, then you should be testing me a lot earlier.
Exactly.
And right? I don't know. Is there anything other than medication that prevents like flare-ups?
So, a lot. So I have changed my eating style. I think for people that know me, I stopped eating red meat and pork when I was 15.
Okay.
And like I said, this is pre-knowing anything. It was just something I was like, okay, I'm going to give up, right? And then as I got older, I realized there was some things that, food-wise, we know food has changed like completely over the decades, right? So when I got diagnosed, I ended up giving up poultry at the end of 2021.
Okay.
Because we know chicken has stuff in it. It was just a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and give up poultry, right? I stopped eating like fried foods. I do a lot of stuff in air fryer. Now, believe you me, I love my happy hours. Okay, I'm not giving it up. I'm not giving up my. Some things you're just not willing to give up, even though it's, probably health wise. But again, let's be clear. You can exercise all you want. And there's limitations to that because of my arthritis. So even in my hands, I have arthritis horribly in my thumbs and my wrist area. There are times where I can't even open something because they hurt so bad, right? And so I can't lift weights. My doctor's like, you can't lift weights, so walking. I love to work out. Like, I love to work out. I hate that I cannot work out. So if I want to walk, I was walking 5 miles a day. Cut that down half. Right? You don't do the treadmill, do the elliptical, or do the sit down bike. Like, so there's limitations. People think that exercising all the time can help you with some of your autoimmune, but sometimes it can make it worse as well. Like, it'll inflame.
Yeah.
And then I'm down for 2 days.
Yeah.
Right? So there are limits to what you can do. So yes, do you need to eat healthier? Absolutely. We all need to do that, right? Do we need to exercise? Yes, but you need to figure out like what exercises are right for your movement and what's not going to take you out. So, and physical therapy is a great start, right? Like, that's just something when your body has just taken over. The pain is just taking over physical. And sometimes even I've gone to physical therapy and it doesn't work. I've to the point where even in the water, and it's you just have to give your body a break.
Yeah.
And so rest. People don't, I have you ever heard that term, I sleep when I die? I hate when people say that because rest is like one of the ultimate like healing for your body.
And quality sleep.
So, like, if you try to call me between the hours of 1 to 4 and you know why I don't answer, that's why. Right?
It's her nap time, yeah.
Do not disturb. And after 8 p.m. Okay?
No, for real. But we're joking, but it is so...
No, it's so serious.
It's serious. It is so serious. And I think that's another thing women have to learn. Because we are always on the go, and taking care and trying to show up.
Yeah. And
doing, again, everything for everybody and also trying to do things for ourselves, right?
Yes.
To the point, and especially if you're a giver, it almost feels bad to say no or I can't do. But we have to move into a space to where... Look, I don't have my my journal is in there.
Yes.
But I've moved into a space to where I literally put everything on a journal.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have it on my phone, not journal, but calendar.
Yeah.
On my calendar, then I put it on my phone calendar to make sure it all matches up and it syncs up.
Yes.
And if you ask me something, I don't commit to anything. I look at my calendar.
Honey, I'd be like,
And then on what I got even better at, I did this 3 weeks ago on Sundays. I have in my calendar you do not commit to anything.
Yes.
This is my day.
Yes.
And if I have an exception to where I'm going to commit to something, that's my choice. But I don't commit to anything on
the Lord
Sundays.
Said you shall rest
if
on
I
the
just want
seventh
to
day.
sit down, that's what I'm going to do. And I think it's important for us, especially trying to take care of your physical, right? Because I've moved to a point to now where physical health isn't just about me losing weight.
And it's not.
It's a plus.
It
right?
is, but it's not.
But it's more about me taking care of the overall Tamekia, right? Physically and mentally, what I put inside of my body.
Yes.
And I don't get I'm not going to make everything perfect. And there's going to be some things that I'm going to eat and just be like, you know what? Tomorrow I'll make up for it, right? I'll have a whole day of clean eating.
Cleaning.
But if I want to eat this whole pint of ice cream right
now, I'm going to
eat it. Because I understand there's some things that I'm just not going to give up.
I detox,
when
honey.
There
I
are
do detox.
other times there are things that I'm going to give up.
Yes.
You know, it's like, what am I willing to do?
Yes.
Like, I think I've been 3 weeks now without cheese, right?
Okay. But
I ain't been 3 weeks without ice cream. I had to choose. Like, cheese or ice cream. Cheese or
right.
ice cream.
It's hard, and that's a hard one, though.
I'm going to pick ice cream, right?
It's a hard choose.
So, what is it that you want people to know about lupus? Or is there anything that I have not asked you that you want the audience
And you
to
know what else I wanted to say, too, about what helps? I had to learn about who I let around me. You have to learn what energy you can have around you and who you have to love from afar. So that was another thing too. Stress.
That's a big one.
Stress flares lupus up, and you get to a point in life where you're like, I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with you.
Yep.
Right? I love you. But
I'm gonna love you over here.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand that, whether it's family, whether it's friends. I've had to let people go. People are like, what person? And it's not because it's just that I'm in a different place, and I can only have people around me that's bringing me good energy. I'm going to give out good energy, and you need to be giving me good energy.
Absolutely.
And when people are giving such negativity around that stresses you out, and stress is flaring up something, right? So I think that was another thing that I had to kind of realize too. Like you said, I'm a giver, but I can't always be a people pleaser.
Yep.
I can't always be that yes person. I'm always that yes person. And people think I'm the mean person out of like my female friends. And I'm like, I'm actually the nice one. I'm actually the really nice one. So if you think I'm the mean one, you got a rude awakening. You got a rude awakening.
So stress can flare it up.
Oh, what?
Yeah, stress flaring up, and
we know stress could be a number one killer.
Silent killer.
And so I
Absolutely.
refuse. I had to get to a point like, I'm not letting my kids stress me out. I'm not letting no man stress me out. I'm not letting my family stress me out. Demetria, don't you stress yourself out about things that you can't do anything about.
Mm-hmm. Things that you don't have control over. So we are getting ready to wrap up. And when we wrap up, we have what we call fire growth questions.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Share one of your favorite affirmations.
So, I would say it's not an affirmation, it's a scripture. And I like literally have it tattooed on me, Proverbs 31:25. And if you can see that, is she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And I feel like that is just like so me because of my journey. Mm-hmm. And it keeps me focused on what's to come, right? Like, ha ha ha, yeah, I've been through that. But guess what, devil? You ain't keep me down, right? So I can look at this every day. Proverbs 31:25.
31:25.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's probably just like one of my favorite. I have it hanging in my house. I have it tattooed on me. Like, it's just...
So it's there.
It's there.
When you wake up,
it's
if
there.
You look at your arm, it's there as a reminder.
Yes. And even when I walk in the bathroom, I have a picture up that says "Hello, beautiful." Because I always think as well, if you don't think you're beautiful inside and out, nobody else is either. Like you have to love you first. Like and I think that's another thing. Like we don't tend to love ourselves enough to understand like it starts with us first. So that was another thing, like, people like, oh, you can see that you so pretty, you this and that. But no, we have things that we go through as women, as Black women, that we put a hard eggshell over. And now that it's starting to peel as we get older, we're trying to really figure out, like, who we are.
I totally agree with you. And even though you said that is a scripture, I do want to say that is your affirmation.
It's mine. And I accept it.
Because you have a tattoo, you have it on your wall. Yes. It's yours.
I receive it.
It's yours. It is yours. Name a book. This is the second question. Okay. Name a book or a self-help tip that has helped you as the woman you are today, or something that's helped you on your health journey.
I'm not the biggest book reader. I do like listening to books. And I recently listened to Yvonne Orji's book. I don't know if you, it's called,
I don't know who that is.
Yvonne Orji, she played on, what was the name on that show, HBO? But it was I'll catch you up on who she is. Okay. But
because I'm about to try to Google real quick.
She has a book called Bamboozled by Jesus.
Okay.
And she's just telling her story about, she's Nigerian. She's telling her story about basically her life and how she was raised by Nigerian parents and how she got into the industry and things that she had to go through. And just understanding how she continued to be her throughout her journey. Mm-hmm. Not changing, not settling. And I just, I think the older I got, I had to realize that. Because I've put myself in positions to where, like, Demetria, you have, like, definitely settled plenty of times. And again, that's that survival of the fittest.
Oh, Insecure.
Yes,
Molly.
Insecure.
Molly, yes. Okay.
But her book is amazing.
Okay.
And again, even though it's kind of later on in life, mm-hmm. It's just so positive. And it's just one of those things where, like, even though I am 44, mm-hmm. there's, as long as God continues to let me live, there's so much more that I can continue to do to be a better person, to be a better me, for me, as well as for other people, for my kids, for my family, for my friends, for my coworkers, for my sorority,
Each day is an opportunity.
It is.
Listen, we are going to bring her back on because we have some other things that we need to unpack. But for now, we are getting ready to wrap up.
Yes,
thank you so much for coming on.
Tamekia.
I am your girl, Tamekia. Thank you for joining us here at Happy Hour Conversations, where we are growing daily, becoming better versions of ourselves, and moving in fear. Listen, we are on a weekly Wednesday show. Make sure you tune in, and we'll talk to you all later.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for tapping in to Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia and engaging with our sister friend tribe, where voice matters, laughing is medicine, and redefining her identity is essential. Be sure to follow us on IG at Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast. I am your girl, Tamekia, and I'll see you next week.